Hi, Christy here with Vermiculture Northwest, and I promised you a video showing you how I build a do-it-yourself worm tote, and so that's what we're going to do today. I have here a tote that I picked up on sale. It's actually a Christmas tote that you would use to put your Christmas ornaments away, and I really like it because it's made of very rigid plastic and it has an attached lid, and I personally like the attached lids because it helps me not have to have a place to set the lid down when I get into my worm bin, and with limited space that's a very important feature. So basically what you do with the bin like this is that you want to plan on having air vents in the lid. So this worm bin has spaces that are very natural little dimples that give me spots where I can drill a hole to put my air vents, and I will put one in each side of this lid right here in the center. And so there'll be two air vents in the top. Now around the sides we have very naturally spaced areas here where we will put 3 vents in the bottom, and we're going to come up about 1 inch from the bottom of the bin, and we're going to drill holes, probably holes this size. This is a 7/8 inch bit, and so we're going to drill holes, 3 holes along the bottom, and then we're going to come up about 7 inches and we're going to drill 2 holes along the top, right about where your top layer of the bin is going to be, where you're going to be putting your food down and where your worms are going to be feeding. This is going to leave you some space here for you to be able to work the material without it falling out onto the floor. Now you're going to have the same holes on the other side, obviously, and then you're going to have holes on the ends as well. You'll have at least 1 hole on the bottom and 1 hole up at the bedding level and on each end. And then on the bottom where you're going to have your drainage, there are natural little dimples on the bottom of this. I will come in and I will drill holes in each of these dimples, and then I'll come here into the center and drill 2 more holes. Now as far as screening over the holes for the moisture to get out and for the air to get in, I'll plug the holes on the side with hard wire cloth, and I will hot glue those in there, and then across the bottom I'll probably cut 1 sheet of hardware cloth, and I will hot glue it around the edge, and I'll hot glue it around the edge of the hole as well. And that will provide screening to keep the material from falling out. You don't need to worry so much about the worms going anywhere. If they want to get out, they're going to find a way to get out. And if they are trying to get out, then you need to pay attention to that, because they're trying to tell you something about the condition in the bed. And if they're trying to get out, then you need to fix that condition very quickly, because they're either going to get out to escape it, or they're going to not be able to get out and they're going to die. So you want to address that situation immediately, unless it's a fresh batch of worms that you just received from shipment. A lot of times those worms will be unsettled because of that shipping experience, the harvesting experience, and they'll take a few days to get settled in. And all you do with that then is you leave your worm bin open, you shine a light on the top, and that'll drive the worms down into the bedding, and after a few days they'll stay put. But you do want to make sure that the bedding material is habitable for the worms. You want to make sure that there's plenty of moisture. You want to make sure that you haven't got any composting going on in there, that it's not too hot, because if you drive the worms down into the bedding and it's not an appropriate environment for them, then they'll die. So you know, you don't want to force them into a space where they can't thrive. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the video right quick, and I'm going to go ahead and drill these holes that I talked about. and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at the positioning of those, the size of those, and talk a little bit more about putting the bed together. Okay? I have measured, I just use a ruler. I've measured 1 inch up from the bottom on all 3 spots where I want to put my holes on this side, and I've used a permanent marker just to make a little dot to give me an idea as to where I want to drill my holes. It doesn't really matter, but I like to try to make the bin look good, and so I like to try to make sure that the holes are somewhat centered and somewhat consistently spaced across the bottom, and just to sort of make it look nice. So I've got my holes located, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, got a little dot there with the magic marker, and I've got my drill ready to go, and I'm going to go ahead and drill my holes. Okay, well, there you have it. 5 holes on that side. Took me about 3 minutes. They're not quite 1 inch apart, 1 inch across in diameter, and I will put screens across that to help hold the material in and let air in, and the worms will be happy. Now I'm going to go ahead and go around and do that around the rest of the bin, and then we'll be back to talk about the top and the bottom. Alright, so I have all of the holes drilled around the sides and on the ends, and I have, let me just show you here, holes drilled in the bottom, okay, for the drainage, okay, and I have holes drilled in the top, 2 holes, 2 fairly good sized holes, and that took me all of about 15 minutes to do. Okay, the hardest part is actually getting the plastic out of the drill, and you know, that's the most difficult part of the whole thing, is getting this plastic out of here because it's wedged in there pretty good. And so let me just use a pair of needle nose pliers and pull it right out of there. Alright, now for the top we're going to do something a little different for the vent, and I've got this little metal vent that's got slots in it, and I'm going to use this in the top, and the reason I'm going to use this as opposed to just screen is because it will help keep the light out. It will let the air in, but it will help keep the light out so that there is not light hitting that top layer of the bedding, because that's where you want the worms to be feeding, and if there's light they're not going to come up to feed. So this is a perfect size hole for that vent. I'm going to push that down in there. I'm going to make sure that those vents are nice and open for the airflow, and then we're going to cover our side holes and bottom holes with screening material, and our worm bin will be done and ready for worms. Simple as that, folks. Go out and find yourself a tote and drill yourself some holes, find yourself some bedding, get yourself some worms, and get to worm bin composting. That's it for this time. Christy Ruckner with Vermiculture Northwest. Thanks for joining me. Bye.